Garry Paskwietz joined by John Jackson. JJ, looking back on the Colorado game, the thing that jumps out at you at the top, Cody Kessler, USC record, 7 touchdowns in one game.
Yeah, how fitting is it for Cody Kessler to end up breaking the record? The thing I look back at is, Cody Kessler, when he came to SC, an unknown guy. Nobody thought that he was going to be the incumbent to Matt Barkley. Nobody thought that he was going to be the best quarterback to ever come to USC. And now, after last Saturday, he finds himself on the top of the list with a single-game touchdown record of 7. That's awesome.
Let's talk about that game. In terms of the way the offense was able to get the ball spread around, you had 2 running backs right at the 100-yard mark. You had 2 receivers at 100 yards. So good production all around for the offense.
So much of a key to this offense is the distribution of the football. We've talked about it, week in and week out. Whenever a lot of receivers touch it, whenever the running backs get going, it makes it obviously easier for the offensive line, especially on play-action fakes and some of those things they got going as well. The thing is, when you're giving the ball to everybody, the defense is just stuck. And what's happening now is we talked about Cody Kessler being a point guard in basketball when he was younger. All he's doing now is the same thing. He's lined up at the line of scrimmage, looking over the defense, finding the one-on-one coverage, and just distributing the football to whoever that player is. And so everybody's starting to get the benefit. I love how the tight ends are getting involved as well. So it was a really good game for everybody on Saturday.
Well, let's tip the hat to the offensive line. In order for those skilled players to do what they need to do, the offensive line has to be showing progress, which they are.
Well, what a great compliment to Coach Drevno and the job that he's been able to do. Remember, this offensive line, and although they're not going to talk about it anymore, they still are starting 2 true freshmen on the offensive line and 4 guys that had never played the position they're lined up at in a college game prior to this year. So it's just quite an accomplishment for this group. The way they're playing in sync, and that's going to be a real key against Utah. The way that they're playing in sync right now, it's really a great job and really a tribute to the coaching that's been happening with this unit.
Before we get over to talk about the Utah game, I want to talk about the defense. One play in particular against Colorado, Gerald Bowman, the hit that he made, which caused the ball to be popped up in the air, and Kevon Seymour got it. It was just such a nice to see a safety enforcer hit like that. But as we were talking earlier, nice also to see the legal hit.
Well, and it's so important because I know as a safety, you dream about those opportunities to hit the receiver and take their head off. That was an ideal play for Bowman to target the receiver. And by targeting, meaning leading with his helmet and getting a penalty or an infraction with the benefit of knocking the guy out and standing over him and all those things that safeties love to do. It was a legal hit. It was down below the helmet. So of course, the receiver for Colorado got hurt, unfortunately. Of course, we're not happy about that. But the bottom line was he made the legal hit, the ball popped out, and then after it, for those of you that go back and watch the video, after it, he didn't stand over the guy. He didn't intimidate the guy. He didn't do all those things that I probably would have done in my day. He continued to play football, and that's just a great tribute once again to the coaching and the discipline of this team.
Let's look ahead to Utah. Big game coming up for the Trojans on this one. 1.5-point favorite right now for USC going into it. Let's talk on the offensive side of the ball. USC offense going up against the Utah defense. Steve Sarkisian was talking in his media call about how the Utah defense likes to pressure. Their MO is getting after the quarterback. When you and I were talking, you're saying maybe look at something a little different as a key for the USC offense.
Well, the one thing that people aren't really paying attention about, at least now here early in the week, is that this Utah team, although they have been very good against the pass and they've been very good run defense, they haven't played a team that's going to run the ball as effectively as the Trojans. USC has a dynamic run game, as we know. Buck Allen and and Justin Davis have been doing their thing. The thing is this is going to be the first challenge for Utah in terms of being challenged against a team that's going to run the ball. Whenever you can run the ball, it slows down the pass rush. And so that's one of the keys for the Trojans, get that running game going, once again relying on that young offensive line.
Speaking of the run game, that is one thing last week for Utah that they got going pretty good. Devontae Booker over 220 yards, 3 touchdowns. USC traditionally this year has been good against the run. 3 games in a row with not giving up 100 yards. That went by the wayside against Colorado. But Colorado ran the ball, 46 times, only averaged 3.7. So how do you see things stacking up right now? USC rush defense stopping Booker.
Well, remember, they stopped Colorado and also Arizona even a week before. And the key to the Trojans has been that front 4. The front 4 on the defensive line, they have stopped the run without the Trojans having to commit extra linebackers and safeties into the run game. Whenever you can do that and you stop the run with 4, that means obviously you can drop 7 in coverage. You can do a lot of different things. Sua Craven's obviously had opportunities to do his thing as well. And so that's really the key to the game. How do the Trojans match up when they just go with the 4 defensive line front? Can they stop the run against Utah? That's such a key, because if not, they're going to have to commit linebackers and safeties to the run, and it makes them susceptible on the back end.
One thing I like right now, Cody Temple, Greg Townsend, a couple guys who are showing a little depth right now for the D-line. That's good to see. Really quick, want to talk some recruiting. Last week you had a chance to see Mission Viejo. They have a center, Cole Smith, who's going to be coming to SC. First true center high school recruit that SC has brought in since Jeff Byers. What were your impressions?
Well, I love him because he's one of those guys that sort of commands the offense. He's like the quarterback of the offensive line. He has a young offensive line in Mission Viejo that he is helping to get organized and all that kind of stuff. Remember, his dad was Doug Smith, the ex-Ram, the great Ram of the way back in the day when I was loved the Rams. His dad is obviously mentored him and taught him extremely well. So it'll be exciting to get a guy that's been a true center. The Trojans have been in the habit of converting their best linemen into centers, and so now to get a true center in the program, that'll be really a big lift for this offensive line going forward.
That's our report here from Heritage Hall. For John Jackson, this is Garry Paskwietz, ESPN.